Yo, what's going on? It's the Lou Capetta Show with Jay Burke. I'm your host, Lou Capetta. And we're up to another episode this week. We got a really cool guest. It was a really good time. We have heavyweight boxer Ed Latimore. But he's not just a heavyweight boxer who happens to be 13-1-1 currently. He is also a motivational speaker and the author of 3 books, including his latest, Not Caring What Other People Think is a Superpower. He's a really personable, really inspiring guy who went through some tough times, turned his life around, and he's got plans on getting back in the ring too, which is a good thing. So Jay and I talked to him. We had a great time, and I hope you enjoy it and learn a couple things. As always, everybody, thank you once again for showing love to the podcast. We really appreciate it. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker.com, and Podbean. And with that said, everybody, enjoy the show this week. Yo, welcome once again to the Lou Capetta Show with Jay Burke. I'm Lou.
I'm Jay.
Jay, would you tell us what we got going on this week? Yes, sir.
All right, today we got a very special guest with us, a real Renaissance man, I guess you could say. He's a professional heavyweight boxer, a student of physics, an author, a professional speaker, a veteran of the U.S. National Guard, a man who has almost 41,000 Twitter followers at this point. And I guess I'd also throw out there life coach, Mr. Ed Latimore. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. You know, you were telling me before the show, like, where you were from. I didn't really hear the accent until just now, man. It's very cool, man. You know, because the thing about accents, man, people really like the sound of voices. Mm-hmm. And but more than that, we like the sound of different voices. You know, as long as they're not like too obnoxious. I mean, right. Horrible. But no, that was cool, man. So I really got a chance to really hear that you guys are from Jersey.
Yeah, we get that a lot. I think I get it more than Jay does.
Yeah.
You ever see my favorite movie is Man on Fire? And there's a scene where he goes into the nightclub. And the bouncer the first dude he shoots is this guy from Jersey. And he asks him, like, where you from, boy? He goes, I'm from Jersey. And he said, I mean, I can't even do the accent, but it sounds just like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, we get that a lot. You'd be surprised, though. Like, I lived down south for a little while, and they just they assumed it was a New York accent. And that's I'm like, no, I'm from Jersey. It's different. It's really different. I'm like, oh, it sounds the same. But
yeah.
So
I think it's funny with accents. Like, you know, I was in Virginia for like a week visiting somebody, and all of a sudden you start picking up that accent as you go. Like you become that person, you know.
I got some friends I went to high school with. I hadn't seen them in 10 years. So a friend of ours got married, and one of them had been living in England for like 6 years. And all of a sudden, everything is bloke this and bloody that. And I was like, "Whoa, man! You're like I know where you're from. Like we grew up together, and you don't talk like that, man." But now she does.
They'll say bloke in Pittsburgh much.
No, I don't hear it. Maybe it'll make a comeback. Who knows?
So, are you still boxing? I know you're. I'm a big boxing fan, by the way. Just so like I was very, very. I love talking boxing. I'm not good at it, but I love watching it, and you know.
So as far as where I'm going on with boxing, I was just talking about this yesterday, and that I always forget that when I say a thing or I think a thing, that the whole world doesn't know it because I'm kind of like naturally like wired in to Twitter all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of assume, you know, you think something and then someone around you goes, what did you say? I was just thinking out loud.
Right.
Well, that doesn't go to Twitter like that. Anyhow, right? The plan, and I probably wasn't that explicit with it. The plan was to take a year off and then come back and see where I would go with it. And during that year, I was working on other things in my life, particularly finishing up a large segment, the final segment of my degree. I'm in school now, right? I have but 6 credits left, and I'm done. I'm free. I have a nice, shiny piece of paper I can hang on the wall and say, nice. I did it, right?
Good for you.
But I've been back in the gym part-time training to get ready to fight again because, I wasn't sure if I was going to come back and fight. But one of the things, it's just I can't just give up. There was that.
Right.
And everything else in my life did start going really well. So I was like, okay, there's really not a reason to go back now. Before there was, I was fighting to make money, and now it's like, well, I don't really need to do that anymore. But what really happened, what I'm so in love with now, is it's like taking that year off. I think gave my brain a chance to sit at the plateau it was at and assimilate all the different things that I had been trying to learn and integrate and work together seamlessly for 10 years, because the way I can move and think and react and spar and everything right now, and this is just light work, is far beyond what I ever thought I would be able to do. And like now I feel like the guys I watch on YouTube, like when I'm looking at some of the like the Tyson clips, or looking at some bow work, or looking at the way Holyfield bounces on his feet, or there's a James Toney clip I like when James Toney is the signature, coming over the top of the jab, or the lazy jab with the right counter. These are things that I've always wanted to do, but I didn't think I would ever be able to do. And now it's like it's so awesome. It's all, and I have more energy too. I'm excited to be there. And whatever happens for the second half of my career, I think it'll be fun and interesting. I just watched last night.
I was going to ask you that.
Deontay Wilder put down Ortiz in the 10th round. That was a tough fight. He really hats off to Wilder. I don't think he silenced many of his critics, but as far as I'm concerned, that was a legitimate fight and a legitimate win. Mm-hmm. And I just kept looking at it the whole time, going, man, this dude is 6'7", man. I'm 6'2" on my tippy toes. Like I'm not. So I'm really 6'1". Like according to the military, I'm 6'1".
Right.
I think about that all the time, but I know there's a place for everybody, and I've had success and fought the taller guys at the amateur, and then we go up, and whatever happens. I want to be able to leave the sport knowing that I left it as developed as I could be with boxing, and I didn't think I was at that point last year. I had to take the time off. You just run into a bit of a brick wall, and a brick wall is probably the best word for it. There's a video game series, Xenosaga, and I'm not just randomly referencing video games, but there's a review. Right. Xenosaga is part of a series, and I'll never forget how the reviewer described the ending of Xenosaga. He said the characters went as far as they could go, and then the game ended. And I was like, what an interesting way to describe a sequel. And that just stayed with me years after the fact, but that is how I would describe the end of 2016. I went as far as I could go given the resources I had and the place where my mom was at the point, and I made the intelligent decision. I said to my coaches, and I said to my girl and the people who were close to me, I said the best thing to happen to me, because I fought one more time after I lost in September. I fought one more time, and I fought to a draw. And I said the best possible thing to happen to me was losing via draw, because it doesn't mess up my stock, but it gives me a nice, clean, all right, I'm out, peace, out, right? But, so it really worked out well. I've been happy.
Cool. You actually kind of answered the question. I was going to ask you, because you talk a lot about having successes and things like that. I was going to ask you, I think you fought Trey Lippy, who was Tony Morris. That's Tommy Morrison's son, right?
Tony Morrison's son. Tommy Morrison.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what did you learn from losing at that point in your career? Because you were 13-0 up until then. So you were
13-0, and the sky was the limit at that point, and we were just coming up. But what you learn is from a purely boxing standpoint, stances and footwork and balance, the things I can do now, I couldn't do then. And if we fought now, I know it would be at the very least a more competitive fight. I'm never the guy that's going to take away a guy's accomplishments. Beating me was an accomplishment, especially in the fashion that he did that. With that said, I know that with what I know now, everything, the fighter I was supposed to be at that point, because all the information is there. I haven't learned anything new, certainly not being in the gym for a year. But what happened is things just came together.
Right.
What I did learn, though, outside of boxing is first and foremost, I learned how to make money, because literally overnight, I went from, it was a small stipend. The stipend amount was like $1,000 a month plus the purse money, and then it was nothing. And when I'm all about efficiency of time. I was like, okay, I'm going to take this time off from boxing and I'm going to finish my degree. I didn't want to take this time off from boxing and get a job. Like, that would be. So I tried to find some people that would like hire me and give me like intern hours, but I missed the intern window, and I'm a great candidate for an intern. All physics students are, right? You put us anywhere. But I missed that, and no one wanted to hire me, and I kind of worked this crappy little delivery job on Amazon for like 2 weeks, and at this point I was like, okay, this is really miserable, but I am way more talented than this. I'm way more talented than scraping.
Right.
For somebody to give me $12 an hour. So I really went and worked and learned and hustled and really did. And I went from, I think I went into January. I mean, I was terrified, absolutely terrified that I was going to have to like ask my girl for money or something. And that, like, no man wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
And or like be broke, or I wasn't going to be able to pay my bills or cover my insurance. Like, I went from that point really scared to I think about Marchish, man. It's because I had been tutoring and working online doing stuff, and I had really learned how to put my value out and collect on it, and that gave me a confidence that like it's one thing to think you can make money and to think you have a talent just because you have a degree or whatever, right? Totally different story when you know, okay, I need to get $500 and I don't want to sell drugs. How am I going to get it? And to know how to answer that question.
Yeah, well, you obviously are good with time because the list of accomplishments there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Up, so.
I was happy. I went back to school too for a journalism degree, and I was happy last semester. I actually got to take a full class load, and I'm looking at all the stuff that you've done, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so lazy. Like,
oh man, well, you know what? It's not even a laziness thing. It was like because I wasted, in my opinion, anyhow.
Right.
I wasted a lot of time drinking, a lot of time just being an asshole, just living on the side. Did I swear on your show?
No. Hey, listen, you can say whatever you want to watch. Fuck you.
Oh. All right, cool. I wasn't sure. Okay, great. But I was at that position, and then I just woke up one day. I didn't really wake up one day. I mean, I kind of have like a clear memory. I was standing at the counter. I was working at T-Mobile. And it was cold, and I was closing the store, but it was. I think it was like the week before my birthday. Maybe it was earlier than that. I'm born in February.
Too.
And I was just like, "Yo, this is unacceptable." I was like, "Man, I have more talent." It's the same thought I had when I lost the fight. I'm like, I'm better than this. Let me go prove it.
Yeah.
And so from 27 to now, I'm 33. I mean, yeah, there were times. I mean, it was just hellish, and the workload I put on myself. But now things are starting to come to an end, and it's worth it. And I'm really happy that like my life went from where it was to where it is now, and it's been a great journey.
You know something. You said you were working at T-Mobile. That's messed up because you know how many times like cell phone carriers make people irate. So little do they know, some irate customer probably walked in there, and behind the counter is this guy that knocked like 13 people out, or whatever, like this professional boxer, and you just got kid just be walking up in there screaming about his bill. Like that's not fair. They can't have professional boxers working at T-Mobile.
Boxers, man, you don't really make any money fighting. I think my first 3 fights, I was working at T-Mobile. In fact, it was crazy. I had my 3rd fight. We went out. I was still drinking at this point. Had my 3rd fight. Went out. got obliterated because we were celebrating. I'm laying on my buddy's floor, hungover like no other, and my phone won't stop ringing. I answer it, and they're asking me to come in because somebody called off, and I said, yeah, I'm going to go, because you know that feeling where you got to work enough hours to make rent, but you don't really want to be there. You hate your life if you go. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to take these hours. So I went and did it. You know, but I'm happy to not, I don't think like that at all anymore, which is great. Because it really is a mindset, too.
Right.
Wait, so after you had the fight, so the next day after you fought, you went to work at T-Mobile?
Oh, yeah.
Shit, man. I get a cold. I don't even want to go into work.
My allergies act up.
Because, you know, man, that's a great mentality. I think a lot of things that I think served me well probably kept me out of trouble. You know, it's that mentality. Like, I'll step up and take those hours. I'm hungover. I'll crawl into work. I just fought last night. I'll crawl into work. But at the same time, man, like that momentum is dangerous because that's a noble path. That's what people tell you. That's, man, you're hard working, man. You get up, you go put the hours in, you go do it. No one can say anything bad about you, right? You're not selfish, whatever. But I was like, nah, man. It's time for me to get selfish. It's time for me to get like ridiculous and change the course of my life. And I'm really happy I did that.
Well, you're using that energy one way or another, so you might as well use it for what you want to do. Right. You know. And
I agree. I mean, I get it because I wasted. I just turned 40. I wasted.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see him. He doesn't look 40 to me.
Thank you.
I'm not 40. That. I'm not taking that. But
he's 38. But yeah, I mean, I got
lots
5
of
kids.
On the skin.
I got 5 kids. I had most of my kids young, and I just I did the same thing. I wasted a lot of years. Like I do construction really for a living for my day job, and I hate it. I'm trying to get out of it, and so this past year I started doing stuff like you, going back to school, trying to get to the next part of my life where I'm, you know, when you're happy with what you're doing, you don't feel like you're working. So I get exactly what you're saying. Although physics that's
you know, I didn't start out with physics, man. I mean, this probably isn't the original goal, right? Because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm thinking like me. I know I got to work. I don't have to feed myself. There's no staying at home with mom, right? I got to figure this out. So I was like, let me major in something that's going to allow me to work. And so the original goal was to major in math because I could study math and maybe miss some classes, but there weren't any like labs I had to do.
Right.
So I went to the military, and my MOS took me to Fort Lee, Virginia at the Ordnance School. And at the Ordnance School, they put you through BMAT, the Basic Mechanical and Electronic Theory. It's a 6-week course before you learn. I was a general repair guy, not a specific weapon. And you have to learn all this. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I think I want to go to school for electrical engineering now. So I get out. I finish AIT because I'm in the Guard, you know, draw 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, all that. Right. So you can go to school. So I start going to school, and I start, you know, for being an engineer, you got to take all the physics and chemistry. And I remember in the physics class, Physics 1, we're doing something with kinematic motion, which is how a projectile travels under the influence of gravity and initial angle and its starting velocity. And you can calculate where it'll land.
Right. And
I remember I worked the calculations out, and it landed where I said it was going to land. And I was like, yo, that's like magic. That's what I'm going to study. Like, I remember, I tell this story 1,000 times because I'll never forget it. It really is like, it was like magic to me. I was like, this is what I want to study. I don't want to study, because I was picking the electrical engineering because it seemed like a career path.
Right.
And I really juggled with it for a while, but ultimately I said, you know, a physics degree is nothing to be ashamed of.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
And it gives me so many different skills. So, I mean, I've taken a little bit of all the science, right? So, in fact, you ever? I don't know how much of a dork you guys are. I see the Batman and the Hulk and the Black.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, big
Have you
time
ever played Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
There's a character class, a red mage, who he can't learn the most powerful white spells and he can't learn the most powerful black spells, but he can learn both of them. Right. Which is what the white wizard or the black wizard can't learn overlapping. That's like what a physics degree is. The physics degree is the red mage of the science world. I mean, I've taken so much chemistry, but not really any bio, but chemistry, physics, and math. All of this, and I don't have to take any upper level math or any upper level chem, but I'm pretty damn sharp with it.
Yeah.
I certainly been a great addition to your party. We had to go.
Right, yo. All that stuff that you said, like you were just talking about, like some of that stuff, it blew my mind. I was like, you could say all that stuff and be lying to me, and I just believe you because I don't even know what you're talking about.
You used big words.
Like, that sounds right.
You know what I want to say though? You know how much the world has changed since we were in high school. It's like you're a boxer. We're talking about physics. We're talking about gaming. And it's like nobody could beat you up for that.
Yeah.
Right.
20 years ago, you didn't mix that world,
Yeah, man. The world is, oh, goodness. You know what's crazy? My two best friends, I just met up with a friend of mine. We played on a football team in high school together, and we just linked up and decided to grab a cup of coffee. And we were talking about how everyone became friends back in the day and how different things are now. He was talking about with his kids and how like he went out to the park and like no one was there and everyone wants to get together and play on X. They send text messages to each other to coordinate games of Xbox Live. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. Because in our day, I met my two best friends because we were talking trash about who was better at MVC, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And so we didn't have a network to settle that over, so we went to the arcade with other nerds, and we settled it. We put the quarter up on the head of the arcade there. Turn. And you were polite because you were a person. It's not like today where everybody is some kind of expletive on Xbox Live, and you're like, man, I mean, God, it cracks me up, man. Like you'll hear somebody. I don't play. I don't have it. I go over my cousin's house every now and then. And he's got it. Right. I'm just looking at it. They're like 12-year-old kids, and everybody's a motherfucker. And
Crazy.
And I'm like, what is going on, man? The world is so different now.
They're crazy. First of all, like I had some kid one time tell me something about titty fucking on there. I didn't even know what that was. At 12 years old, I didn't even know what titty fucking was. I'm like, man, kid, you're way ahead of the game, buddy.
Well, it's a little more. They're a little more connected to that stuff, dude. Because I said that when I watch TV. Right. It's weird if you're watching like HBO and there's not nudity in the show. I'm like, wow, that's weird. There was no nudity.
How about that? Right.
Like you used to be like, oh my god, the Victoria's Secret magazine's here. I better steal this.
That's nothing.
that's like child's play.
These kids don't even know. Back when you had to, I used to have an operation in high school. Hustler Man said you got to survive. Mm-hmm. I used to have an operation in high school. I had a buddy whose cousin worked in a porn shop, right? Mm-hmm. And he would bring these videos back. I'd take the videos. I set up 2 VCRs, and then when I got one, and I dubbed copies of them, and I put together mixtapes, and I was selling my school. Mm-hmm. I paid for a lot. I paid for my senior year this way, senior trip. And these kids today, man, they don't know nothing. There wasn't no Pornhub. What's no X Hamster, man? Whatever the hell is out there. What's no X videos? None of that. And now it's like, and it's insidious because I think people have been creating some version of pornography since humanity. What humanity didn't have, and I always get into these debates with people about how if you don't consider the role that technology is playing in altering the landscape, then you're a naive fool at best. These kids have unfettered access
to everything.
I talk about this all the time.
Everything. right?
Yep.
Like we were talking about, like just recently, I was talking to some guys about how pretty much, our generation is the last generation to have the ability to get a truly fresh start. Mm-hmm. But because now, what between screenshots, social media, and that's just the voluntary information. We're not talking about go to the DMV or get your passport. Like, you are tracked. They call it the electronic plantation. There is no escaping that. You're born onto it. And I was trying to explain to this guy, it's a default surveillance state. You don't even have to mess up. Now, if you get pulled over, someone can pull that record up, look like a civilian. They can see it. Yep. So, the game has changed, and not for the better, I think, in many ways.
I always say with that stuff, as far as like the big data or the information and stuff, when you think about it, you got two free services like Google, Facebook, or Twitter. They're getting a lot of money, and they don't charge you anything. So
exactly.
How do they get that money? How much information are they taking?
And that's what Edward Snowden was trying to warn us about.
Yeah.
He said, look, all these companies are taking your information and they're giving it to the government.
Yep.
And they wanted them dead for that. They still won't give him a pardon.
Yeah.
They still won't let the man back in the U.S. And I've seen the movie and the documentary.
Yeah. Did you see it? I didn't see the Snowden stuff.
I didn't see the movie, but I know a lot about stuff like that.
And pretty much, no matter how you look at it, he was acting from his heart and what he thought was right. He wasn't.
Yeah, I think so too.
He wasn't a traitor. He didn't go sell, because if he was really a traitor, we'd have never heard about it.
Right.
Yeah.
He'd have took that shit straight to the Russians.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bomb threat. People go, "Oh, it's a bomb threat." I'm like, come on, man. When motherfuckers really want to blow shit up, they don't warn you, exactly. Right? It's just like Edward Snowden. If he was really trying to, commit an act of treason, you wouldn't know what he dropped. You wouldn't have been able to read about it. Yeah. All you would have known is one day some Russians would have been knocking at your door talking about come outside and the women over here, the men like this, and that'd have been it. So
I always felt kind of bad for him because he uprooted his whole life doing what he thought was right, and it's kind of like a little blurb. Right.
At the end of the day, he knew the game. He was up on game, and he took the risk anyway. Yeah. There wasn't a surprise. He took the risk anyway, knowing what it would be. So even if I didn't know anything about what he was trying to do, if you just told me there's this guy who intentionally dropped this info, knowing what he knew about how we operate, and was still ready to eat those consequences, I respect it. Now whether I agree with the the details is a different story, but I respect the act.
Yeah, I agree.
Which just goes to prove my point, which I've been saying this, and it's a saying that's never caught on, surprisingly. My own personal saying is sometimes honesty is the worst fucking policy. Oh,
yeah.
Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's
when you're finally caught, it's good policy.
Yeah.
You know what they say, man? The truth is probably. I always say this: the truth has probably sent more people to prison than it's ever set free.
True. Damn, that's a better thing. That's better
than mine. Say it like that.
No wonder my saying's not getting any play. People out there are having better sayings than me. Shit. Like, I'm just saying, though, like, it really is seriously, because if you think about it, like, if you're married and your wife says, does this just make me look fat? And if it does, you don't say yes. Like, honesty is not the best policy there.
Right. And, I see, and a lot of that, I love those kind of questions in general.
Right.
Because, it's like levels. It's levels to the conversation. I think if you don't have any life experience whatsoever, it's just like me. I'll tell you a story, right? Just to illustrate these levels thing. My first girlfriend, you know what one of our biggest arguments was over and over again? And I was 19, right? So just to give you some info.
Right. We
used to argue because I would hate when she would ask me, when I would go, what do you want to eat? And she would go, I don't know, what do you want to eat? Where do you want to go? And I'm like, God damn it. And one day I just flipped and lost it. And we just kept having fights about it. But there's levels. You got to understand what that conversation really is about. That conversation is about giving you the chance to kind of be like a man and lead, and it's not like, it's not like she knows that. It's like, here's the test, motherfucker, pass it. Like, no,
I don't know about that.
And it's not like you're studying on, man. I can't. When she asks, "Where do you want to eat?" I'm gonna know it, right? Yeah. No, it's just a natural way we play out and the way we work and deal with things. It's sub communication. And likewise, right? You know, back to what you're saying. Does that dress make me look fat? Then, man, okay. Look, of course, whether it does or doesn't is kind of not the point. That's just that's the first level of combo, and that is never what the conversation's about.
Right.
It's
like an onion.
You know, or can you peel away and get at it? Because look, man, I'll tell you what. My girl ain't never asked me that shit, right? Because I would like to think that I would like to think that's because I've presented myself as a guy who would answer that question honestly. Mm-hmm. Now, when you set yourself up to look a certain way,
right?
You set yourself up to be perceived a certain way. When you are aware of the image you're presenting, you got to know how that's going to cut both ways. Because at the same time, right, I'm probably not going to hear, you know, about some type of emotional trauma,
right?
You know. And sometimes I haven't, right? You know, but that's my fault for presenting myself as kind of this guy who's just going to be brash and appear to sometimes be unsensitive or you know, not sensitive to the issue. Right. It all comes back. So it's just I'll never pay attention to the words, man. And that's what's really fun about Twitter to me is that that's all you have are the words,
right?
So I get to have some fun and work on that weak part of my brain, but I love the subcontext. I love poker. I used to play poker all the time. Now I can't sit still that long. Bugs me, man. On top of that, I don't drink, right? I used to go to this casino, one of the casinos in LA, and I would just sit there and I would like to think I was running the table. That's how we're going to tell the story. I would just sit there for hours and run the table. Mm-hmm. When you sit there for hours, man, they got this delicious MSG sodium pump Chinese food they keep bringing you. You know, these cheap drinks. I started taking a bus over because I was like, man, these drinks is cheap. Well, and then because you're drinking, you're playing horribly, and then you want the action to proceed because you're getting bored. Oh, man, outside at tables where guys are falling asleep. You know,
but you're right, though. All of a sudden, you're getting bored. You got a little buzz going. I'm like, fuck it. Fuck the $5 hand. $100 right there.
Let's make like, come on, man. Let's play some poker, right?
You want to play poker? I'm all in.
Come on, man. You had 2-7 offsuit. What was you thinking? Well, sometimes it works out.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing's guaranteed.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness, man. What I wanted to ask you. Oh, man. I'm still. That's funny, man. I don't know why I'm laughing so hard at that.
You never know where it's going to go. Yeah.
So, I saw your book. I wanted to ask you about this book because I love the title. I know you've written a couple of books. Yeah. I want to make sure I get the title right. So, not caring what other people think is a superpower.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
That is amazing. And I was talking to you before we started. That's the book that I'm going to buy my 18-year-old son. I really want him to read that. So can you talk about that book? What made you get to a point where you wanted to write that? And it's on your website. I know, but for like anybody,
stuff. You know, so I always wanted to write. I mean, I have a blog, man. I took to Twitter like a fish takes the water, you know, because I like communicating with words. I like writing, right? And so this was just part of the plan to write a book. Now, as far as what the book was going to be about, I wasn't sure. But what I did know is I had a really great Twitter archive. And someone suggested that I take my Twitter archive and sell it. And I said, that's a great idea. Except I kind of want to give people more value than just a bunch of tweets.
Right.
So I went and downloaded my archive. I think at the point it was like 9,000 tweets, and I sifted through that 9,000 tweets, and I took out the ones that I thought were most potent to the message that I wanted to tell or deliver. Right. And the message was a process-focused approach to life, to not focus on the outcome of things, but rather to focus on things that you can control. How much the effort you put forth in your work, the way you see the world, the way you use your time, the relationships you try to cultivate with others via the one you cultivate with yourself. All of these things centering around like the person that no one can take a thing away from. Like I tell guys when they want to start boxing and they ask why I started boxing, I tell them because I wanted to be good at something. There was no money. I didn't know anything about the financial situation of money. I mean, in boxing, there was no like, oh, maybe some girls like me or whatever. Like, no, because all of those things can be taken away from me, and I can't control any of them. Mm-hmm. And they force me to focus on the outcome. They force me to care what other people are thinking about me. I wanted to care about what I wanted to have a higher opinion of myself. So that's one of the reasons I started boxing. And that's what I talk about a lot in the book is each essay is about a way to improve the relationship you have with yourself, for you to focus on the process, not worrying about the outcome, but that other people are going to think about.
It's actually a great way to go. I've seen other people talk about it that way too, where what they're saying is, if you want to achieve a goal, don't focus on the goal, right? Focus on what it takes to get there, because that's all you can. That's the only thing you have. You could take the action. That's the only thing you got control over. It's like when you're boxing, you could control yourself, what you put into it the best, but there's another guy there, and he's trying to control his action.
And that's all you have. And it's funny you say that. That is the biggest thing, the biggest difference this time back for boxing for me is I have so much more control over myself, of my physical actions, and it really is cool. It's like, oh, this is what it was supposed to feel like. There's no delay, and I think it, and it appears in reality. It's like boom, there's a punch, right? As opposed to before where it was like, okay, I want to drop this right. Let me make sure I take this step with my foot and swing my hip. Now it is more condensed. It is just, let me think about this punch. The punch is there, right? So that's control. That's control and efficiency too.
Yes, sir.
And that's where that title comes from. And I would have never. I wish I had thought about that. I wish I could take the credit for the title and the cover of my book. I really wish I could, but. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the internet persona Victor Prod.
No,
and his website. His website, Bold and Determined. I'm sure some of the listeners have heard, but he had a brief appearance on Twitter and decided he didn't like Twitter and left Twitter.
Twitter can be a rough place, man.
While he was on Twitter, he messaged me one night and he said. I think this is pretty much a quote. He said, "For you to have such a great Twitter account, it's a shame you do something so stupid as name a book, Twitter Poems and Insights, the name of my first book." And I said, okay. Now I didn't message him.
Right. Right.
I mean,
he just messaged you out of the blue.
He's got 30 Days of Discipline. I mean, which is a huge book that people know about. So I'm listening at this point, and I know he's got the ear of Mike Cernovic. That's how I know. So I know they work together and do a lot of good stuff together. So I was like, all right, man, you can go out of your way to holler at me. Let's see what you know. Right. So he really talked and worked with me, and he was like, and broke down how I need to title my book and where I need to go with it. And he hadn't even read it. He just knew that I was coming out with a new book and I needed to come up with a new title because whatever I was coming up with, which for the record, the original title of this book was The Quotable Boxer, which now that I know so much about making titles and how I present myself, it's a horrible title. You guys wouldn't be interested in The Quotable Boxer?
I gotta admit,
sounds like an indie film.
Yeah,
you should make an indie film.
And so I'm really, I can't tell you. I talk about luck. I don't talk about it a lot. I want to do a post on it, a really big, thorough post I put on my website. But part of luck is putting yourself out there and just taking attempts, but making sure people know about your attempts, so that if your attempt is if it looks like you're getting close and someone wants to help you, they know, and someone wants to help in general, they know you're the person to help because you're already trying to help yourself. And I am so grateful that Victor reached out, and that's not his real name, obviously. I think it's like Nick or some shit. I can't remember. But I'm so grateful that Victor reached out randomly, unsolicitedly, because he knew I'd be receptive to it, because he's seen how I've been carrying myself on Twitter, interacting with everyone else. I'm so happy he reached out and told me that, because I'm sure a different title, and I had no idea what the cover would be. Right. I think, but he really directed me through and was like, "Yeah, this is a good idea. This is what you go." And wants nothing from it. I wrote him an email and told him, I was like, "Dude, the book's been out for like 9 months. I'm still selling like 500 copies a month." And he's like, "Yeah, that's great. Good job." And I was like, "Dude, if you need me to kill somebody for you, just holler."
If you got a T-Mobile store with shitty customers,
I'm going to put the audio asterisk. If someone dies and Victor Proud is implicated in the crime, I had nothing to do with this. This was actually just a joke. The world is crazy, man. Look,
you never know.
Yeah. Somebody will fucking die at this spot in L.A. and they'll go scouring through the internet. Man, I was listening to this show, man. I'm pretty sure I heard Ed Latimore say some shit.
So Latimore, would you come in for some questioning?
You know what's crazy? I got a private message group for people who bought a book, right? And I have an intro post on the message group, just thanking everyone for coming, the support and everything. I have 2 rules. The first rule is, we lead with respect. We disagree respectfully. You don't have to like the opinion, but ain't no name calling. If you're not smart enough to come up with a rebuttal, you're wrong, or you're not sophisticated enough to express why you disagree. Either way, you have no point speaking. The other rule, we don't talk about or encourage anything illegal in the group. With the notable exception of anything dealing with substance abuse and recovery, because that's really important to me, recovery, and I want people to be able to talk about that. Right. But I said, but then I had to follow up. I said, this is more about protecting me than anything else, because I love all of you, but I'm not getting served a subpoena for anybody.
Yeah.
I will kick you out the group immediately if you start talking about even your jaywalking. Just leave it out there. We don't do jaywalking.
Yeah, you need to run Twitter with that rule about people being able to disagree respectfully, because that seems that nobody is able to do that anymore. See, that's they need a Twitter needs to listen to this, and they need to hire you as like their overseer and CEO. Or
one of the things I think I always try and look back and try to figure out why a certain thing is working. But you always got to be aware of sort of confirmation bias and all that. But I do know that based on like how my followers are split in terms of their personal politics and what they identify with, I think one of my strengths is that I don't argue, I don't disrespect. I mean, for you to get me to insult you, I've probably only done it like 5 times on this platform. Yeah. You gotta really try. I'll just block you. It's just not it's not worth the loss of my peace of mind. On top of that, I've learned that, like, look, there's people watching, right? And then they're taking cues, and I'm learning this, as weird as it is. to think that there are adults doing this, but better to understand it and use it than to be blindsided by it. There are adults looking and watching, and people too, tweens, whatever, seeing how I do a thing, how I interact with my group I'm following. And I don't think they're necessarily watching going like, okay, however he does it is how we're going to do it. Let's see what he does, getting fired up. No, what I think I'm in a unique position to be able to do is to show people that not all disagreement has to be uncivil. Like, come on, man, I'm from the projects. Like, if I can talk to you and have a normal conversation, what's keeping you? Why can't you just entertain the man's question, right? Without throwing your own personal bias in there or getting insulted by group. This is my favorite part of Twitter. The whole, if you throw a pack, you've heard the saying, if you throw a rock into a pack of dogs, the one hit barks. Like, you make a blanket statement on Twitter, and people come out of left field disagreeing with you, and I was like, wow. I wasn't saying you specifically, who is a single mom with 3 different baby fathers. I wasn't saying anything about you, but now you've outed yourself.
Right.
Like, just let it go, or unfollow me. But either way, what I've learned, I've learned that the etiquette. It's weird, man. People, there's not really. See, we're from a pre-internet generation, man.
Yeah, we're like the last ones.
Right. Like we grew into it. We're like they call us the Oregon Trail generation. Right. Because if you grew up where everyone was excited in the morning to get on a computer and play Oregon Trail at school.
I always died of dysentery.
So it's the Oregon Trail generation, and so we don't. In our minds, there is a very clear disconnect between the physical world and the digital world. It's not like that for people under 27. Because they grew up, they knew social media from the jump. And 27 is not young. That's not like 17. Like, man, that's almost 10 years you could vote.
Yeah, you should know better. It's old enough to know better. That's
right. At 27 is when I was like, I'm probably drinking too much. Like, come on, man. Like, so these are people who, to them, everything is online. And that's, better or worse, we can't. That's beyond debate at this point. So now we just use it. We use it, and I try to use it to show that there is a way. You don't have to be an asshole.
Right. The thing for me is like, it's such a good platform to go back and forth. But you say something, and then the first thing I see is like, "Hey, fuckhead, you're wrong. Read this."
Right.
Like, I'm supposed to get past that. Where am I going to get past "Hey, fuckhead" and then read what you have to say?
You ever see that meme from Anchorman where it's like, boy, well, that escalated quickly. And I'm like, wow, like so many times you're just like, where did this come from?
I have a theory too. Here's the other theory that I have is that when we were younger, right? You used to be able to check people. You know what I mean? There used to be a line that you crossed, and I've lived I grew up in a lot of places. I moved around a lot. I lived in very bad areas and very nice areas. But when you were young, there was always that line that you crossed where somebody had to check you, and then you had to duke it out. So like if you guys were face to face. You don't have that anymore. There's no bullies in school. You're not allowed to, not that bullying is good, but you're not allowed to. There's zero tolerance.
But there's no physical. There's no physical repercussion.
Yeah, exactly.
And on top of that, I don't know if it is a consequence or it's just a correlation of, but there's everything is on the internet now, and on top of that, any type of aggression is now, from my understanding, treated a bit more severely than it was like when we were in school. I mean, you used to be able to fight in the morning. You go to in-house for like 2 periods and you back in class the next day. Now it's a full-blown investigation. They arrest the motherfucker. Look, man, I am not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just merely looking at it and comparing it to how it was when we were kids. When we were kids, if I called your house and teased you on the phone first off, you're probably gonna try and whoop my ass the next day. If I do it enough, we're gonna get the law involved. But if you kill yourself because I'm teasing you, the issue was not me teasing you. And to make it that way is unbelievably dishonest, and it doesn't focus on the real issues that probably, like I heard that story, and then the story was tragic. Some kid killed herself because she was being teased online. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, that's crazy. That's terrible. After I stopped having an emotional reaction, I started thinking. I said, how bad was this kid's lifestyle at home to where she thought that words said on the net was, instead of displacing herself. Now, if she's being, getting messed up at school, that's a different thing, right? But that's not how the story was presented. I said, you got to get people involved. You got to look at what's really going on, because when you fix something that's not the problem, the real problem continues.
Right.
It's like a tip of an iceberg. It's just that little bit that you see, and then underneath the stuff that you don't see. There's a lot. There's probably a lot more. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I was having a debate with some people about the whole, because the big thing right now is the gun issue because of the shooting in Florida, and I don't, I'm from an inner city school, man. My school was the first one with metal detectors. I don't. We dealt with the problem differently, because the problem came to us differently, right? And however they decide to deal with the problem is how they deal with the problem. But what I was trying to explain to somebody, I was like, look here, because the whole big thing was how annoying or not annoying is David Hogg, the guy, the face they're putting out there is the survivor of the school shooting. Mm-hmm. Look, for us to focus on like the NRA and gun rights in this country, maybe just maybe Americans do have too many guns. Look, I'm not pro or anti-gun. All I'm saying is I've been to a few other countries, and America got guns like nobody else, man. And it really is a thing here. With that said, I told him, I said, look, if we're gonna focus on the NRA and gun rights, and this cycle runs in there, because that doesn't happen all the time, right? So it's an isolated incident.
Correct.
That would be like if you go to a bar, if somebody goes to a bar, or not you, somebody goes to a bar, they get plastered. They decide to drive home. They pass a DUI checkpoint. They blow a .2, and the cops say, "That's all right. Just get home." On the way home, they kill like 7 people. And instead of focusing on how terrible of a job the police did, we decide that the drinking age needs to be raised to 25.
Yeah.
You'd be sitting there like, that's what I was trying to say. I was like, when we get we focus on the issues that are easy to deal with and that are easy to wrap emotions around, because they're great for keeping people from focusing on what the real hard problems are to solve.
Right. Well, I think you were kind of saying it too. There's a lot of underlying stuff. Sometimes my problem with now, I don't really care for the AR-15 and all that kind of. We can get into a huge debate on that. I don't know if anybody really needs that, but the problem is they're kind of making it an argument that if we take away that weapon, it'll stop the school shootings. I don't think that might be the case. What I think the argument should be framed is, does anybody need access to that weapon, and how easy we should make it for someone to get something like that.
There's going to be a listener.
It's really been framed that if that gun wasn't used, that wouldn't have happened. It doesn't mean that. Right.
Which is a horrible argument even no matter how you feel, that's just a poor argument, right? Which is how they're framing it.
Right. I think they're putting too many eggs in that one basket. I think the argument should be, is that weapon necessary for anybody to have in that circumstance?
Look, man, I've seen a lot of nonsense, man. As you see, and I'll tell you what, man, I don't know anybody with an AR. Not that, or I'll rephrase. I actually do have a buddy that's got an AR, but he's not going hunting. But he just got it there. Like,
it's just cool looking and cool.
Right now, that's what it comes down to.
It'd be like having a Lamborghini with a flamethrower. And you'd be like, that's a great car. You know what else it does? Let me show you. And that's all it did. It didn't drive.
Yeah.
It didn't have a cool butterfly doors. It just had a remote button, and a fucking flamethrower came out and roasted everybody in a 10-foot radius. And that's it.
I know people who said they went to like Texas and knew people and fired like a bunch of guns and stuff, and they're like they got a target set up, and it's like the pistol doesn't hit shit. The shotgun kicks back, you can't hit shit. They put an AR in their hand. He's like, I could hit that thing every time. You know, it's
and I'm like, yeah, you can.
Yeah,
of course. You know, it reminds me when you're in the military, you gotta shoot to qualify to get out of basic training, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta hit 23 out of 40. Once again, you know that's debatable. Man, 23 out of 40, man, that's a little better than 50%.
Yeah.
I guess that's not too bad, especially when you're shooting down 300 yards downrange. So that's not too bad. But you have to do it by eyesight and aiming, or just by eye and aiming when you go through basic. When you qualify every time after that, they give you laser sights, and it's like, now no one is failing. Right. Because who is going to fail with this nice little red dot? You just put it on what you want to shoot, and you squeeze the trigger. Boom. I mean, that's it.
Book test. Shit. Right now, there's gonna be a listener in Alabama or something talking about, man, of course I need my AR-15. What are you talking about? Who don't need that? Oh man, I can't listen to this thing no more.
Oh yeah.
Man, if it don't apply, let it fly, right? Throw that rock out there, and the one with the AR-15 shoots.
Oh man. I wanted to ask you about this. This always fascinates me about boxing because get back to your boxing, but I love. To me, it's every fight I ever had as a kid. Like you go in there, you know, you're nervous, you don't know what's going to happen, but like professional boxers are just making a living fighting. Like that is. First of all, that takes a certain mindset. So I really like. Always wonder, like, what's your mindset going into a fight? Is there that same nervousness? Because you also have to. I know you have to be confident in yourself. It's like anything else. If you're not confident, you know that's one of the reasons. I mean, like you were talking about Tyson before, but that's one of the biggest things about Tyson is those guys. You saw those guys. They were defeated.
He was winning fights before the first bell.
Before as he was walking in, those guys looked terrified. So, like, what is your mindset? And then also too, like, other than not counting your loss, but who of the fights that you won, who was the hardest, the toughest fight?
Oh man, I'll answer the first. I'll answer the last question first. All right. The overall best guy I fought, who I was in danger. Oh no, I was never in danger during the fight because even though I think me now would kill me then. Right. I still knew things. It's not like I was just in there flailing around with
like Conor McGregor.
with 8 years of practice, just nowhere. Right. I fought a guy named Juan Good out of Detroit, and he was sharp, and he can move. He was sharp and slick. I think if Juan lost like 15 pounds, he'd do some damage to guys. He knows how to box. He's deceptively athletic for his size, but he didn't drop the hammer. Right. Then that's you got to be able to drop the hammer. I think that makes a difference. And we can go into the mechanics and the timing of the proverbial dropping of the hammer, but the point is he didn't have that. Thank goodness, right?
Right.
There was another guy I fought. It was my 10th fight. A guy named Jamal Woods. Jamal's got that guy's got hands of brick.
I've heard of him. I have heard of him.
Now he could lay the hammer. Jamal's weakness is I don't think he learned to fight. I think he learned to fight the hard way.
Right.
I don't think he had an amateur background. So he's got this record. If guys don't, everybody, I love these guys who don't know shit about what does Roger Mayweather say? Nobody knows shit about boxing. He always says that, right?
Yeah.
I love these guys. They when they decide to come into my mentions and want to argue with me and go, but you never beat a decent boxer. And I'm like, first off, you need to get that disrespect out your mouth. Any guy that gets in the ring, especially with 10-ounce gloves on against another trained man, nah, man,
deserves respect.
They might not be super skilled, but that's just disrespectful to say that. And it's always somebody that's never done anything this competitive. You can always tell because, right? But Jamal could drop the hammer. Jamal's issue was, I don't think he really knew what he was doing in terms of how to fight, how to throw leverage, how to disrupt me. Because at that point, I'm pretty sure I won our fight on the strength of just jabs. Because I was still developing and learning how to throw a jab, and I was like, "Oh wow!" And then when I got, I was like, "Wait, you're telling me I can throw a shot that if I throw it perfectly, it makes it impossible to come back over the top and crack me if you're anything shorter than 6'5"? Right. Wow, let me do this, right?" So yeah, that's how I won a fight. It was a unanimous decision. I think I won 4-2 in terms of round count. Now to your other question, the mindset that go in there. But what was funny, my mindset for most of my career was this is like a skill, and I'm building a skill, and I'm developing a skill, and I've got resilience. I'm tough. I've been hit. I've been hurt. I've broken stuff as a result of fighting. I had the requisite pain tolerance and mean streak. But if this was a report card and we were grading those things, I had C's, man. C's get degrees, and that's all you need to pass. I wasn't failing the course of boxing; it was just good enough. And then I went up against a situation where I didn't have it, or rather, it wasn't enough. So I would say for the first 9 years of my career, I was fighting with the mentality that I'm in there kind of like a game. And when I say game, I don't mean I'm playing. I mean there is a move, another move is made. In pure game theory, basically trying to maximize competitive advantage. Right. Yeah, that's all dead now. I know enough now. You ever hear Bruce Lee? He talks about a punch. He goes, first you learn you don't know, and then you learn what a punch is and how to throw a punch, and then you don't know what a punch is anymore. And what he's saying is, you come to the point where you don't know what you don't know, and then you know what you don't know, right? Or rather you know what you don't know, and then you don't know what you know, and then you forget it all again. And what it means, you forget all again, you have it all in you. Now I can really focus, and I keep telling my coach and I keep telling people when I talk about it, now I can learn how to fight. And that sounds weird, but
no, I get what you're saying. I get
it. It's as close to technical mastery as I'll ever get, but more importantly, it's technical efficacy. I don't have to think about making the moves. So now I can go in there and just be a mean son of a bitch. I mean, and I got no problem being mean. I know how to turn it on and really be aggressive and go in there and be a killer. It's like Tyson's got a famous quote. He goes, "The difference between me and these boys now is I was a killer. These boys today are businessmen. I want to be a killer." And I think I can be a killer. But before, just because of the way I'm designed, the way I think, the way I interact with the world, it was always, my whole mentality was always, learn the technique and everything first. Right. And then you can go. But now, it's so fun, too. I just go in there and I do 15, 20 rounds without thinking. And before, that took a lot of energy. And now it's just like, let's have some more. Now I have to decide when to leave as opposed to being too tired to continue, which is a good place to be.
Yeah, definitely.
I would pass out after one round.
Yeah,
I'm more about
I had to run down the block in the rain the other day, and it was horrible.
Oh, horrible! That's awful. Yeah, no, that's tough. That's tough, though. That is tough.
But I did want to ask you about. I know you do some speaking, some professional speaking and stuff like that. So where are you doing that? And you have anything upcoming that you're doing with that?
I'm doing it wherever I get asked to. Okay, so I'm about to drop a little secret about my career and all that stuff that's been going on. This isn't really a secret. I'm just being silly. But
Felt like we were doing an expose.
Yeah, you put a lot of pressure on me. I'm not. I felt like I should have had like that breaking news thing. That.
But for the past 3 years, I guess I've been doing different. I've been a guest on different shows and podcasts of this nature, and I have not asked to be on a single one. Every single person has come like, "Hey, we should chat and have a good time." And I don't say that to be any kind of arrogant or bragger. I say that to just point out that I'm very fortunate that I live in an age where I can express myself on one medium, words, writing, and that leads to people being interested in having a conversation with me in another medium. And that's very cool. My speaking has taken that exact route. Like, exact route. The very first public speaking thing I did was a tech conference last year in Boulder, Colorado. They flew me out, gave me the hotel room, all that good stuff. Spoke, I think my speech was 30-minute keynote, and they found me and asked me to go. I didn't even know you could do that. I always wonder like how you ended up on speaking, but fill it out, right? Same with the speech I just did. Well, I guess I've done 2 in the past 2 weeks. But both of those, invitation. Now, what I want to do is, really, really lean into it, put my foot on the gas and get invited and apply to be other places, because I think across various disciplines, I have a unique story and background and a unique perspective to add on many things, and I believe it, which is important. You got to believe in yourself. I believe that I'm a fantastic asset. Anyone will be lucky enough to sit and listen to me talk for 30 minutes, and I really I don't know why I've been telling this story a lot lately, but I guess it's been highly relevant to whatever's been going on in my life. Yeah. When my cousin turned 30 or something. I think it was his 30th birthday. I'm just saying that because it's an even number. Point is, we went to a casino, and we went to the casino because there's a buffet there, the Three Rivers Casino, and he wanted to eat there, and we were sitting there waiting to be seated. And there was this girl who was the hostess, and I was just talking to her, having a good time. Not really flirting, not flirting with her at all. I mean, my girl at home, man. I'm like, I'm just having a conversation. And the mom's like, you didn't have to flirt with her like crazy. And I'm like, first of all, you got to understand something. And I was serious when I said this, and I wasn't even thinking. I said, first of all, you got to understand something. I am probably the most interesting person she's going to meet today, and most likely in her entire life. And I really believe that. Right? Yeah. So I think it comes through in the way I present my words and the way I talk. And I call it the Hydra effect because it happens every time. What's going to happen is you're going to put this show out, and I'll get 2 calls to be on somebody's podcast as a result of this. And then I'll do theirs, and I'll get 2 more. You just keep cutting the head off. 2 go back in its place.
That's it.
And it's really awesome because I have so much fun. By the way, and I'm not just saying this because you can go back and listen to like 50 of them. You'll never hear me say this. This is probably the most fun I've had in one of the interviews.
Thank you.
All right, but and anybody who listens, I'm not saying your show was boring.
Yes, he is.
You're about to get hit on Twitter. Don't check your Twitter.
Psych.
I'm saying I'm just having a good time in this freestyle combo. Man, they got the big old mic. I can see it. There's Batman and comic book stuff in the background. Ali, and I think it's that. What is that over Foreman?
No, Liston.
Liston. Yeah. So so there's all kinds of. It's just a cool environment, man. You guys are awesome.
Well, that's what we said. We just wanted to keep it like we said. You know what? When we're talking about technology and all that kind of stuff, it's like the conversation's a lost art. You know what I mean? Just back and forth.
A lot of the stuff that we talk about, even when we don't have guests, but even just the rapport we have. I mean, I was saying this to you, I think, a couple weeks ago. It's just like these are the conversations we've been having on the phone for like 20 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? So now, like, it's just, like other people are finding them funny, so it's good, and it's just I don't know, man. It's been
a lot of fun, man.
It is like it's just a cool thing. And we've been lucky enough to have really cool guests too, yourself included.
Yes.
We really
thank you, man. I'm super. I'm happy. I'm just sitting here having one of my favorite non-alcoholic beers, Klaustauer. That is not an endorsement. That's just what I'm saying.
They owe us some money.
But Latimore will be happy to endorse it if you want to send those checks over.
Oh yeah, I'd love somebody to be like, hey man, I heard you don't drink and you drink our product, and I'm like, yeah, I do. Want to pay me? So,
what's next for you? Like, what's going on?
What's next? What's next?
Usually, so this is how usually we wrap the show. We do like a little what's next, and we have another friend of ours who does. Very at the end, he does a moral of the show. Remember how cartoons used to have morals at the end? Like all the they don't do that anymore. So our show's going to start doing that. So
I didn't even know cartoons still came on, man.
That's true. That's
the game is great. If it ain't Dora the Explorer, man, I don't hear anybody. I hear grown ass adults talking about Bob the Builder and Dora the Explorer. I was like, man, what am I missing? And then I went and looked, and I was like, these motherfuckers are sitting here waiting for a fox to steal some shit. That blows my mind. This is entertainment today. Wow. What's next for me? I'm working on my next book, which is the working title. This is how much better I've gotten at titles, right? Mm-hmm. I came up with this one on my own. Sober letters to my drunken self, and I'm writing from the perspective of me. I mean, I want to talk about the three phases of sobriety when you are an alcoholic, when you are going through the transition, and then where I'm at now. And I want to have each one be kind of a letter where I'm writing to myself that I wish that someone had written or said to me back when I was, being full blown, killing bottles, trying to go to practice, drunk and shit, stupid stuff like that. So I wish that's the big thing I'm working on now. That is taking up quite a bit of energy, but I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about it because I know a lot more about how to launch. I had a horrible launch with my book, and I didn't think it was horrible when I was doing it. I just didn't know anything. Now I know a lot, and I have a lot more allies, and I know kind of what to do, and I know how to get this in front of some people. So that's the big thing that's coming up next. I'll be a full-fledged physicist person, right, with a degree in May. Cool. That's cool. Done with school for at least. I told my girlfriend I'm done with school for like 3 years because I want to focus on making money and learning things. And when I do go back, I've decided though that I want to pursue my PhD in atmospheric science. I think there's a lot of interesting problems to be solved because we need to kind of prolong our time on Earth while the people who are much smarter than me are trying to figure out how to overcome the speed of light. Right. And so we can get to other planets. So that's where I fit in that scheme of things. So there's that. I like to fight. The goal is to fight 2 times this year. I would be satisfied if I don't think it'll be impossible to get one. So either way, I'll be fighting at least once this year. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I think that's going to go swimmingly because I am not exaggerating. I tell anybody who listens, I'm not exaggerating when I say that it's like I was a guy here and now I'm just a completely different person in terms of my abilities to fight. Nice. So those are the big things, really. I mean, I'm working on a blog still. I'm gonna drop podcasts that I create as well.
Do you have a podcast now, or are you working on one?
I have a podcast that I do with my buddy, another boxer, Cam Awesome. He's a vegan. It's a very interesting mix because we have different thoughts and different experiences about things. But I mean, he's probably I met a lot of boxers over the past 10 years. He's probably the only one that I talk to on a regular basis. So, and not probably he is. I mean, it's not even a thing. But a good friend. We were roommates out in L.A. That's how we met each other. Total thing that worked out the way. But just in general, I'll continuing to expand my brand, and my brand, I mean, so that people know what I'm saying, because I think I have a lot of value. I just gave did this tweet thread where I was saying, I'm not saying the N-word anymore on Twitter because enough people are seeing me that I don't want a few people to decide he's dropping the N-word too much. Never mind the fact that I am an N-word, right? But I can't. But I'm not. But people get offended by it, and I do think, you know, you got to weigh out, as my buddy Tanner said, you got to weigh out the cost versus the value, and I think the value I get from from typing that every now and then is way less than the cost of doing it in terms of the people who I can reach, and who I don't want someone to just write off some good information because I decided to express it.
Right.
You were a little too much hood.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
No one, you know, and that's like one of those weird pride things, right? Like where it's like, yeah, man, I'm from the hood, man. You can't pull you can go research where I'm from. I'll show you some links. And I'm like, I'll show you some pictures, whatever. But at the same time, I mean, I always talk about how you got to leave behind certain parts of you, and that is, I don't even have friends from that part of my life anymore.
Right.
So I just want to leave it alone. You know, you catch me having a conversation in person, I might let a little end bullet fly every now and then. But like in terms of dropping a bomb on Twitter, and you know, because I'm reaching bigger people, I'm reaching more people. 40,000 Twitter followers, man, and they still won't verify my ass, man. That's racist.
That's crazy. Yep. Yo, Twitter.
I'm not serious.
Nah, fuck that. Twitter. Get off your racist shit and verify this man. Yo, yeah, you know what? They won't verify my man G Moody either from the I Am Rappaport podcast. Yeah. He's I don't know if you ever listen to, you know who Michael Rappaport is, the actor, right? Michael Rappaport. He got a podcast, and his longtime friend is a co-host, and we had him on the show, and he's not verified too. They're starting like a campaign to try to get him verified.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like I'm like the real dude, man. Like,
yeah.
but I said at the beginning, I said, you know, I was telling people like, how do you feel about not being verified? And I was like, look, man, I got my real name, like my real, like it's as close to my birth certificate. People every day, the name of my book is my name, right? Ed Latimore. And my pictures up. People know who I am. It's straight from my words. I can take a picture of me like hanging out with my cat or something if you want to see him prove his name.
Right.
Like you know, a little blue check mark is cool, but what's really cool is I'm really happy to have the reach that I have and people. So I want to use that. I'm going to continue to use my platform, and I built the platform too. That's the other cool thing. No one gave me this. I tweeted myself the hard way up to 40K, and it'll go beyond. And you know what's weird, man? This is one of those effects because, and you guys are old enough to get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. It is very weird because I don't feel like. I feel like rather than have a platform from something else, I feel like my platform is the platform. You know, I built up on Twitter, and so everybody's finding me from Twitter. Yeah, and so instead of they found me through here and they were letting me, no, here's Twitter. This guy's good at Twitter, but I think they come and see I'm good at Twitter, and then they go looking at my background and other things. Like if you look me up on the internet, I don't even think my BoxRec page is on the first page anymore, which and BoxRec is has a pretty high page rank. Right. So I think now it's just like all of these interviews on different sites and my blog. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Hopefully, we're trying to build our little search engine optimization up, but it's getting there too, and we thank you again because you're going to be a big part of that.
Thank you.
So you guys are very cool. I mean, I'm really. This was the best use of a Sunday. It is Sunday, right? It's not Saturday.
It's Sunday. It's Sunday.
Oh, dude, I'm on spring break, which is nice. Hey, they that weird, man. I'm 33. I'm talking about. I'm excited to be on spring break.
Never let that go, man. Never lose that.
Yeah, don't lose that. Hold on to that.
And I'm like, spring. Sleep it in tomorrow, and then going to get a coffee with my buddy who's in town from LA. That's one of my spring break plans to begin with.
Cool. When you get word on when you're when and where your next fight is.
For sure, I'm gonna plaster that thing far and wide because it'll almost certainly be a local show.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, good.
Because you know what's cool, man? The boxing game is twisted, man. It's twisted. I'm 13-1-1, right? And because of how I lost, how I got that one, People are hit me up all last year. We got a guy. We got to fight for you, man. We give you $50K. We give you $40K. I'm like, okay, that's nice money. Yeah, but I kind of got a longer vision for myself than going to be a punching bag just because I'm gonna take my record and cash in. And a lot of guys do that, and I'm like, I'm not coming back to just be a punching bag for somebody. I'm coming back to really legitimately make a run. Now, if I go out there and I get beat by somebody who's like 13 and 14, go do something else.
Right.
That's real freedom. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to be able to say, okay, I'll just go write another book now. Like, maybe I'll use my physics degree for a while. Who knows? But it's a good feeling.
Right. Well, like I said, man, especially if it's local, I'll definitely take my son. I'll definitely.
Jersey, there's all kinds of. But now, are you guys closer to Philly, New York, or in between?
So where he's at in Jersey, we're originally from Bergen County, which is right outside New York City. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but like where the George Washington Bridge is, pretty much.
That's I know where that is.
That's where he is. I'm about 10 minutes from that Sands Casino in Bethlehem. So I'm like by Easton area. I see Larry Holmes a lot, actually.
Oh, yeah. Larry Holmes, man, the Eastern Assassin.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's he's humongous guy, man. Yeah. His hands, no joke, are like this big, dude. He's a nice guy. You see him around all the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so from Pittsburgh, I'm like 4 hours from Pittsburgh.
You're like 4 from there. We got offered a fight in Harrisburg one time. I mean, there are fights literally everywhere. I mean, boxing is a dirty biz, man. The same reasons we love the sport is why I hate it.
Yeah.
So it goes back one.
We'll definitely be looking out for you. And once again, everybody, Ed Latimore, thank you very much for your time, man.
Thank you, Ed.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Good luck with everything, man.
Good luck.
Hey, man, thank you guys. You have a good one.
You too, man. Take care.
All right. See you.